Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on the program Daytime Talk. My name is Emmanuel Ere. Well, the recent news-making story of the APC and the new PDP, or the new PDP merging with the APC, is something that had thrown up a lot of observations. You know, one of which is, though we see on the front page of some daily that power sharing formula had been decided, it may also be an issue to see how it eventually turns out. I mean, the relationship of politicians, they call them strange bedfellows. So the next few months would actually tell Nigerians that, look, we really mean business. But one other observation is, if the force pulling them together is stronger than the force that can separate them, then they will succeed. And that force, they say, is to ensure that the presidency doesn't go to the PDP. We'll take a look at the political calculation as to how that could happen. But was it an election that took place in Anambra State, or was it just an arrangement? Some observers say it was a sham. That was also a shame to the Nigerian electioneering process. While Nigerians look forward to what INEC had called the supplementary election, many of them are of the opinion that a lot of grounds need to be covered if INEC has to win back the confidence that they had initially in Nigerians. Well, questions had also been raised about the judiciary. Recently, we have seen in the news that the judiciary have had a big question mark on their head as to how they play their role in this political dispensation. So we'll take a look at that. Well, Edo State may be known for many things, but it has been known for this. The death penalty had been passed in Edo State, and we want to see if that is a deterrent. Well, you may wonder if we have the time to cover all of these grounds. Well, we're looking at the Nigerian political landscape and the recent matters rising. Let me introduce my guest today. Abubakar Yesufu is chairman of the President League of Patriotic Lawyers. He is also a lawyer himself, a public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We want to talk about the APC and the new PDP. But I must also say this. One of the things that some political analysts had observed was that a number of the governors who are in the so-called new PDP were second-term governors, those who were not sure of their political future after they are no longer governors. That may also have contributed to some form of issues, you know, with the former PDP. But that is just a thinking by the side. What do you make out of the entire arrangement?
Well, I thank you so much. Let me quickly acknowledge the fact that this development is encouraging, it's legitimate, it's constitutional. You know, it is a very robust kind of development, for want of a better word. The Constitution says anybody, you know, has the right to associate or disassociate. You can belong to a political party, you can also leave, provided there's a platform. What is that platform? If there's a dissension, if there's a disenchantment, if there's cleavage in your political party, the Constitution says you can move ahead. And above that, you know, you have the right to belong to any political group or hold meetings. So any idea, any constitutional thinking that is anti the new movement will be inconsistent with the Constitution, and it will be void to the extent of its inconsistency. The development, I think, will make democracy more robust, will make challenges more viable, and people will have options and all that. But other than that, I don't think is too glowing a tribute, or we should pay too much of a tribute to this development. Because from inception, from independence, the hammer and the anvil has always been the common man. I think we have a lot of things to contend with. Boko Haram in the north, kidnapping in the south, poverty, hunger, and disease in the entire country. The country, so to say, in a subtle term, in crisis. A continent in turmoil, and even a planet in peril. So rather than waste our energies talking about this new alignment and realignment, let's not talk about the problems besetting the nation and how we are going to solve. It's a welcome development, like I told you.
It's a welcome development.
I'm not too enthusiastic because if you look at the grudges of the new PDP now coalescing into APC, talking about lack of democratic elements in their hitherto now old PDP. Nobody's really talking about the common man. Nobody's talking about the ASU strike. Nobody's talking about Boko Haram seizing virtually a part of the north. Nobody's talking about this popular slogan, PhD, poverty, hunger, and disease. It has been dismissed as academic exercise or mere sloganeering. So if they say there's no democratic machinery, so to say, that's why they are leaving the former PDP. But like I said, it's a welcome development, robust and it's constitutional. Constitutional in the sense that if you look at the case of Atiku, when he left PDP for AC, they went as far as the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court held that this was legitimate, this was right, even though it was not too moral, because Atiku contested under a platform, that's the PDP. So when he jumped to AC, one would have thought that the Supreme Court would annul this. But like the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. The Supreme Court, after Supreme Court, is God. It's final in all finality, and it indeed can do no wrong. So that is the position. Robust,
okay,
interesting, enthusiastic.
Okay.
So we are watching with rapt attention.
All right. The issues that had led to these PDP, new PDP and APC, though the court had said, INEC had said that the new PDP doesn't exist as a political party. Now, maybe it doesn't exist anymore since it's now in the APC. Do you think that this coalition was a matter of meaning well for Nigerians, or just trying to achieve certain personal political agenda?
Well, it's unfortunate. I do not know those who are advising INEC. Like I told you, anybody has the right to associate and disassociate. I wonder why you are harassing members of the new PDP or for any political organization that may arise or that you have risen in the past, when you know there is a constitutional provision that everybody has the right to associate or disassociate. It's very clear that anything that is contrary to the Constitution, that other thing or instruction or order to the police to stop meeting or whatever, is void to the extent of its inconsistency. So the meeting the old PDP had was valid and consistent. Just that at times, we want to use the jackboots to suppress democracy, individual liberty, and rule of law. But like I told you, truth, no matter how suppressed, will emerge victorious. It might be slow, it might be sluggish, but eventually it will overtake falsehood.
Well, are you surprised? I don't know if we should go into the details, but let me ask you this. Are you surprised that people like the governor of Niger State has not registered his presence yet? There were 7, now there are 5. We're expecting 2. Some say more may join. What's your take?
Well, like I said, earlier on, he has his right to slow down his enthusiasm. He has the right to go back to the old PDP. He has the right to remain neutral. He has the right to join APGA. This is his constitutional right. So let us not speculate. Let us wait and see what happens. Like I told you, it's a robust development, it's constitutional, and it's a step in the right direction. If today, even in Lagos State, if other parties in opposition, they are coalescing to give APC an effective challenge, the organization I belong to, League of Petroleum, will make available our lawyers in our arsenal to support them so that you can continuously put Lagos State APC on its toes. The common man will be better for it. So that's what democracy is all about. Even in a corporate legal practice, what they call the rule in Habertu, you have a majority rule and a minority protection. Even if the majority is ruling, let us also protect the minority. So it's a repulse development, and it's a step in the right direction, for want of a better label.
Okay, a step in the right direction,
Yeah.
but we are watching with rapt attention,
Yeah.
according to you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Anambra State election.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I should call it Anambra State election, but Anambra State, for want of a better word, because of what had happened in Anambra State. What do you make out of it?
Yeah. Luckily enough, the league was adequately represented in Anambra through my, my deputy head of chambers, Dan Elekwachi, through my director for publicity, Clifford Omigie, and the reports they churned in. The reports were not too encouraging. The first place, local governments like Indimele North, Indimele South, Oyi, Dumukovia, Inewi, Ojukus, to mention but a few, they had a shortage of electoral materials. You see, we have, in all our lectures, symposia, debates, we made it known to government and its agencies. I would not want to call it rigging, what happened in Anambra State. Perhaps I would say uneven playing ground. You know, this uneven playing ground, if you like, you call it rigging, because they are interrelated and interwoven, in as much as they are the same thing. Begins from the appointment of the electoral head. By the time the electoral head is appointed by either the federal government or even the state government, then it stands to reason that he who pays the piper takes the tune. We have told them that things like appointment, tenure, removal, remuneration of the electoral bodies should be left solely to an independent body.
Which independent body?
Yes, we are not short of men of integrity in Nigeria, if you don't mind. Father Kuka, the lady in Victoria's Army Ministries, Mrs. Idausa from very many, even the Muslim faiths. So by the time you start, look, we must face it, Jega came with a lot of credibility. But it will appear that this issue, it was, so to say, it will appear that it was sabotaged. So an electoral or an organization that has no strength of its own, that is unwieldy, a guiding philosophy for neutrality, for authentic electoral procedure, definitely cannot midwife a neutral election. So if the appointment, tenure, remuneration, and to say the least, removal of the head of an electoral body is dependent on the government in power, be it state or federal notwithstanding, you definitely cannot get a fair election. In the case of Anambra State, you will realize that all these local governments I mentioned, we had what has never happened in the past. What we were waiting for in Anambra State was maybe snatching of ballot boxes, thumb printing, and what have you. But to the credit of security agents, they tried. Mopo 2, under Mr. Ejera, we covered Anambra State and some other security officers. They were so perfect, they didn't do that. But the rigging or the uneven playing field took place long before that election, or what you call gerrymandering. I explained to you in the GF what gerrymandering means. If Alimosho local government, that is supposed to be the most populated in Lagos, so to say, is credited with about 10 electoral booths, and Lekki or whatever has 200, that is electoral fraud. That it starts to.
You think that was what happened?
Yes, because this local
Where you
government
had more population, you had less polling booths?
No. The candidates that were supposed to be very strong, I don't want to mention them, but League of Petroleum Lawyers, like I told you, is very apolitical. The candidates that were supposed to be strong in some electoral units, they were disenfranchised. Out of a total population of about 1.7 million registered voters, not more than 400 voted. It's not confined to this election alone. But by times when we espouse our views, they will say, maybe League is tied to the apron strings of, a political party. Nay, APC. No. Even it happened in Edo State. The League of Petroleum is uncomfortable with the result they churned out in Uromi by amiable comrade governor. So, that's a matter for another day. So, when you have this type of uneven grounds, I have strength in a particular local government, and you are differentiating the local government. How do you differentiate? If the electoral materials, they come in late. You can't expect, you know, a would-be voter to stay on the queue from 8 in the morning to 5, expecting electoral materials. I was, as a matter of fact, I was shocked when Jega, with due respect, you know, detained a very low cadre electoral officer. The man that ought to be in jail is Professor Nukogu, who is the state rec, you know, but he was let to go or let off the hook. Like what operates to in the police system. You know, when you catch a sergeant, you know, by Allen Junction, maybe, but whilst he's trying to exploit you, he's taped, he's rushed to on the room trial and is dismissed. The DPO, and to an extent, area commander is left you. You know, corruption is systematic.
So, in your view,
yeah,
you think an election didn't really hold in Anambra State?
Yes, an election took place. We are talking about the fairness or otherwise of that.
Okay,
election.
let me rephrase the question. You think the election that took place in Anambra State was not free and fair?
Yeah, it was. It was geared towards enhancing the fortunes of some candidates.
And
Don't ask me those candidates because that will tantamount to
it's
time.
the same thing with not free and fair.
It was not free and fair.
Good. And you think that